This is the Passion of Christ, according to the Gospel of John. Jesus, after praying, went forth with his disciples across the Kidron Valley, where there was a garden which he and the disciples entered. Now Judas, who betrayed him, also knew of the place, for Jesus often met there with the disciples. So Judas, procuring a band of soldiers and officers and the chief priests and the Pharisees, went there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Then Jesus, knowing all that was to befall him, came forward and said to them, "Whom do you seek?" They answered him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am he." Judas, who betrayed him, was standing with them. When Jesus said to them, "I am he," they drew back and they fell to the ground. Jesus again asked them, "Whom do you seek?" They said to him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus answered them, "I told you that I am he. If you seek me, then let these men go." This was to fulfill the word which he had spoken. "I didn't lose a single one of those whom you gave to me." Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's slave and cut off his right ear. The slave's name was Woeltge. Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword into its sheath. Shall I not drink the cup which my Father has given me?" So the band of soldiers and their captain and the officers of the Judean authorities seized Jesus and bound him. First they brought him to Annas, for he was the father-in-law to Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year. It was Caiaphas who had given counsel to the religious authorities that it would be expedient that one man should die for the people. Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. As the other disciple was known to the high priest, he entered the court of the high priest with Jesus while Peter stood outside at the door. So the other disciple, who was known to the high priest, went out and spoke to the woman who guarded the gate and brought Peter in. The woman who guarded the gate said to Peter, "Are you not also one of this man's disciples?" Peter said, "I am not." Now the servants and the officers had made a charcoal fire because it was cold, and they were standing and warming themselves. Peter also was with them, standing and warming himself. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teachings. Jesus answered him, "I have spoken openly to the world. I've always taught in the synagogues and the temple where the Jewish people gather. I have said nothing secretly. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me what I have said to them. They know what I have said." When he said this, an officer standing by struck Jesus with his hand, saying, "Is that how you answer the high priest?" answered, if I have spoken wrongly, bear witness to the wrong. But if I have spoken rightly, why do you strike me? Annas then sent Jesus bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. And they said to him, are you not also one of this man's disciples? He denied it. He said, I am not. One of the officers of the chief priest, who was a kinsman to the man whose ear Peter cut off, asked him, did I not also see you in the garden with him? Again, Peter denied it. And at once, the cock crowed. Then they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to Pilate's headquarters. It was early. They themselves did not enter the headquarters, so that they might not be defiled, but might eat the Passover. So Pilate came out to them. He said to them, what accusations do you bring against this man? They answered him, if this man were not an evildoer, we would not have handed him over. Pilate said to them, take him yourselves, judge it by your own laws. The religious authorities answered, it is unlawful for us to put any man to death. This was to fulfill the word which Jesus had spoken, showing by what death he was to die. Pilate entered the headquarters again and called to Jesus and said to him, are you the King of the Jews? Jesus answered him, do you say this of your own accord, or did others say to you about me? Pilate said, am I a Jew? Your own nation and chief priest have handed you over to me. What have you done? Jesus answered, my kingship is not of this world. If my kingship were of this world, my disciples would fight that I might not be handed over to the religious authorities. But my kingdom is not from this world. Pilate said to him, so, you are a king. Jesus answered, you say that I am a king. For this I was born. For this I came into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice. Pilate said to him, what is truth? After Pilate said this, he went out to the religious authorities again and told them, I find no crime in him. But you have a custom that I should release one man for you at the Passover. Would you have me release for you the King of the Jews? They cried out, not this man, but Barabbas. Now, Barabbas was a thief. And the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns, and they put it on his head, and they arrayed him in a purple robe. They came up to him saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they struck him with their hands. Pilate went out again and said to them, "See, I am bringing him out to you, that you may know I find no crime in him." Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. Pilate said to them, "Behold the man." When the chief priests and the officers saw him, they cried out, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and crucify him, for I find no crime in him." The religious authorities answered, "We have a law, and by that law he ought to die, because he made himself the Son of God." When Pilate heard these words, he was the more afraid. He entered the headquarters again, and he said to Jesus, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave no reply. Pilate therefore said to him, "Will you not speak to me? Do you not know that I have the power to release you and the power to crucify you?" Jesus answered, "You would have no power over me unless it was given to you from above. Therefore, he who handed me over to you has the greater sin." Upon this, Pilate sought to release him, but the religious authorities cried out, "If you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar's. For everyone who makes himself a king sets himself against Caesar." When Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out, and he sat down in the judgment seat at the place called the Pavement, and in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Now it was the day of preparation for the Passover. It was about the 6th hour. And he said to the religious authorities, "Behold your king." When they saw him, they cried out, "Away with him! Away with him! Crucify him!" Pilate said to them, "Shall I crucify your king?" The chief priests answered, "We have no king, but Caesar." They handed him over to them to be crucified. So they took Jesus And he came out bearing his own cross to the place called the place of the skull, which is called in Hebrew Golgotha. And there they crucified him. And with him 2 others, one on either side and Jesus in between. Pilate also wrote a title, and he put it on the cross, and it read, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. Many of the Judeans read the title, for the place where he was crucified was near the city, and the title was written in Hebrew, in Latin, and Greek. The Jewish chief priest said to Pilate, "Do not write the King of the Jews, but this man said, I am King of the Jews." Pilate answered, "What I have written, I have written." Soldiers had crucified Jesus. They took his garments and made 4 parts, one for each soldier, also his tunic. And the tunic was without seam, woven from top to bottom. So they said to one another, "Let's not tear it, but let us cast lots to see whose it shall be." This was to fulfill Scripture. They parted my garments among themselves, and for my clothing they cast lots. So this is what the soldiers did. But standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing near, he said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." And then he said to the disciple, "Behold your mother." And from that hour, that disciple took her into his own home. After this, Jesus, knowing that all was now finished, said to fulfill Scripture, "Thirst." There was a bowl of vinegar standing there. They put a sponge full of vinegar and hyssop and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the vinegar, he said, "It is finished." He bowed his head. He gave up his spirit. Was the day of preparation in order to prevent the bodies from remaining on the cross on the Sabbath, for that Sabbath was a high day. The religious authorities asked Pilate that their legs might be broken and they might be taken away So the soldiers came and they broke the legs of the first and also the other who was crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus and saw that he was already dead, they didn't break his legs. But a soldier took a spear and pierced him in the side. And at once there came out blood and water. He who saw it has borne witness, and his testimony is true, and he knows he tells the truth, so that you also may believe. For these things took place that Scripture might be fulfilled. Not a bone of him shall be broken. And again, another Scripture says, they shall look on him whom they pierced. After this, Joseph of Arimathea, who was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly for fear of the religious authorities, asked Pilate they might take away the body of Jesus. Pilate gave him leave. So he came and took away his body. Nicodemus also, who first had come to him that night, came bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds weight. And they took the body of Jesus and they bound it in linen cloth with the spices, as is the burial custom of the Jews. Now, the place where he was crucified was in a garden. And in that garden there was a new tomb where no one had ever been laid, since it was the Jewish day of preparation. As the tomb was at hand, they laid Jesus there.